Thanks for joining us today. Does the Bible, calling Jesus the firstborn, mean that he was created? This is a question that has stirred debate for centuries. Some argue it proves Jesus had a beginning, while others believe it reveals his eternal nature and divine authority. In this video, we're going to break down what firstborn truly means in Scripture, look at the historical and biblical context, and discover whether this title points to Jesus as a created being or something far greater. Stay tuned, because the answer might surprise you. Before we continue, please remember to subscribe, like, and share. In Colossians 1:15, Paul states that Jesus is the firstborn of all creation. This text has often been understood in the sense that Jesus was born before the creation of humankind, and in one way or another emanated from God the Father in ages past, or that Jesus was created by the Father, and then continued the creation process begun by his Father. How should the term firstborn be understood in the context of Colossians 1:15? The Greek word prototokos, or firstborn, is found 127 times in the Septuagint and 8 times in the New Testament. In the majority of the cases, it refers to a literal firstborn, Genesis 41 verse 51, whether of humankind or of animals, Exodus 34 verse 19 to 29. The human firstborn enjoyed the birthright, Genesis 43 verse 37, and a double portion of the inheritance, Deuteronomy 21 verse 16 to 17. According to 2 Chronicles 21 verse 3, the firstborn son of the king received the kingdom while various gifts were given to the other sons. The chiefs of the tribes of Israel were the firstborn, 1 Chronicles 5 verse 12. However, in a number of cases, persons who originally did not belong to the category of the firstborn were made firstborn. Manasseh was the firstborn, Genesis 41 verse 51, but Ephraim the second took his place. Genesis 48 verse 20, Jeremiah 31 verse 9. Although Shimri was not the firstborn, his father made him first, 1 Chronicles 26 verse 10. Very enlightening is Psalm 89. This psalm describes God's loving kindness and faithfulness. He had made a covenant with David, promising that his throne would endure. David is mentioned in verse 3 and again in verses 20, 35, 49. In verse 27, an incomplete parallelism is found. I also shall make him, David, firstborn, the highest of the kings of the earth. David, who was the 8th child of his parents, 1 Samuel 16, verse 10 to 11, would be made the firstborn. What this means is expressed in the second half of the verse. David, as the firstborn, would be the highest of the kings. The covenant with David was finally fulfilled in the Messiah, the antitypical firstborn and the King of Kings. Psalm 89 verse 27 does not stress the issues of being born or being the first chronologically, but emphasizes the special honor, greatness, and authority of the firstborn. In the New Testament, the term prototokos is applied to Jesus 6 times. He was the firstborn of Mary, Luke 2 verse 7, but he is also the firstborn among many brothers, Romans 8 verse 29, the firstborn of all creation, Colossians 1 verse 15, the firstborn from of the dead, Colossians 1 verse 18, Revelation 1 verse 5, and the firstborn whom the angels worship, Hebrews 1 verse 6. The term prototokos points to the special rank and dignity of the firstborn. However, being the first or being born is not always stressed and is therefore not necessarily important to the understanding of the term. This is the case in Colossians 1 verse 15. The text and the immediate context, Colossians 1 verse 15 to 20, show that Jesus is the image of God. He has created all things, therefore he himself is not created. He is the Redeemer in whom all things have been reconciled to God. He is the one who holds all things together. Here is an outline of the passage. First, he is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of all creation. For in him all things were created. All things have been created through him and for him. And he is before all things, and in him all things hold together. And he is the head of the body, the church. He is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead. For in him it was his Father's good pleasure for all the fullness to dwell, and through him to reconcile all things to himself. In this passage, the term firstborn is used twice. As Jesus is the firstborn of creation, so he is the firstborn of the dead. The second phrase, which explains the first, makes it clear that the issue is not birth. Jesus was raised from the dead, but not literally born from the dead. Second, he was not the first in a temporal sense. Others were raised before him. He was first in the sense that all resurrections, whether past or future, were and are dependent on his resurrection. Without his resurrection, no other resurrection is possible. Verse 18 shows what that means, namely, that he himself will come to have first place in everything. As in Psalm 89, so here too, being the firstborn is associated with having supremacy. In conclusion, when the term is applied to Jesus and does not refer to his birth by Mary, firstborn points to Christ's exalted position as the supreme king and ruler of the universe, and does not suggest that he has been created or has emanated from God in ages past. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share for more biblical insights.